Thursday affair here on Birds 365 with the Mac guys, John McMullen, Jordan McDonald. Breaking down the Eagles' 2021 schedule. We haven't gone through it yet with the W's and L's, but we're giving you some first impressions on it. We're going to add a third voice to the mix. He does as good a job as anyone in town covering the Birds. He does it for Associated Press. You'll catch him every once in a while over on 97.5, The Fanatic here in town. Our buddy Rob Maaddi. Well, Maaddi hops aboard here with us on Birds 365. Maaddi, man, how you been?
What's up, guys? 17-0. Right?
Yeah, I like the optimism, Rob. I'm stunned how negative, how pessimistic. You know, I always get killed for being too negative, but I'm surprised how many fans. I'm not a great fan of the metric of looking at last year's records and saying it's going to move forward. But if you do, look, the Eagles have the easiest schedule in the NFL. And by the way, it's no coincidence Dallas is number 2 because they're both in this division. That plays into it a lot. But talk about the schedule as a whole. What stood out to you? I know what stood out to me. Interested to see what jumped out at you.
Man, the number one thing that stands out, guys, is the fact that over the course of the last 2 months of the season, they don't have to get on a plane.
Yeah.
You got 4 home games, a bye, and then train rides to North Jersey and a train ride to D.C. to Maryland to play the Washington football team, and that I think is a big deal because you're not getting on a plane, you're not flying, and of course it's not like if you're going making short trips, but still I think it matters. I think that'll benefit them. And perhaps towards the end of the season, in this division, I don't see anybody running away. So I do think that the Eagles coming off a 4-win season, even though I project them in the 5 to 7 range, there's a lot of ifs and if a lot of different things and several variables fall right, they could be in a mix in an NFC East where 9 wins is good enough to get it.
Right. And you make the point about travel and they don't have to get on a plane and it's all easy trips when you do have to make trips. Even more important than number of miles traveled, they're not good teams. No. You know, I'm a Jet guy, but the Jets were god-awful last year. We got to find out what Wilson's going to do, new coaching staff. I know Washington won the division last year, but they got to show it to me again this season. They won it with a below 500 record. And the Giants made some nice additions. They gave Daniel Jones more weapons, but he's still Daniel Jones, and they didn't upgrade their defense quite enough for me. That's even more important is the teams that they're playing aren't all that good. And yes, 2 of them are basically divisional rivals, which if you can't win in your division, you don't deserve to win a division anyway.
Now, you're exactly right, Jody, because that is a favorable schedule. Obviously, as John had said, you got an easy schedule. You're playing a last-place schedule, and it is favorable, and you're playing – I do think the Giants are going to be slightly improved. I like what they did over the course of the second half of last season, but to your point, it's still Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley coming back. If he can come back, he's going to be a big factor for that offense, and I don't see any reason why he won't come back and be healthy on that knee. Washington – yes, with Ron Rivera, the team seems to be trending in the right direction, but what's their quarterback situation going to be like? Are you scared of Ryan Fitzmagic or Taylor Heineke? I'm not. So, yeah, the schedule, and the Jets are the Jets. So the schedule is favorable in so many different ways that way. It's a little tough though in the beginning. You got to get through some difficult matchups, and we'll see what this team looks like because right now we're just project. We haven't even seen them on the field in practice. I know John's eager to get out there tomorrow though.
Yeah, hope. Well, and by the way, Rob, we're only getting access to individual drills and walkthroughs. I'm not happy with that. Rookie camp, you should be able to watch the whole thing, but that's some inside baseball. I do want to bring up another thing. Even the winning teams on this schedule, Kansas City, Tampa Bay, the Super Bowl teams, New Orleans, which, by the way, doesn't have Drew Brees, they're all at home. They're all at Lincoln Financial Field, 70,000 people. And Tampa Bay, Rob, short week, Thursday night game. And you know how teams that have to travel on the short week, that might be the biggest upset spot of the year for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Kind of like the Eagles going to Green Bay on a short week 2 years ago and running the ball down a Packers' throat, winning that football game, and then Doug Peterson getting reprimanded for running the ball too much by Jeffrey Lurie. Oh, wait, I'm going off on another tangent. Now, I looked at that Buccaneers-Eagles game, just like you, that Thursday night coming here, and kind of in my mind likened it to the Bucks playing Chicago last year. I believe that was a Thursday night. Remember when Brady forgot it was 4th down? And things worked out for him. He went on and won a 7th Super Bowl. But that could be a spot, like you said, where it's primed for an upset. So the schedule to me seems favorable. Now the product, what goes out there on the field, has to match. And I'm somewhat excited about this team because everyone I've spoken to, guys, who's either had any kind of experience with Nick Sirianni, whether it was played for him, coached with him, whatever, has spoken so highly of him. Not just the energy and the enthusiasm, but beyond that, more importantly than that, his X's and O's, his ability to, as a teacher, his ability to diagram plays, to be creative, to allow as yesterday we heard Kenny Gainwell say, the playbook is set up for playmakers. Well, the Eagles got a couple playmakers in here now, and Devontae Smith. So let's see what he can do. But I'm really excited and higher on this team now than I was, say, a month or two ago.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, guys, the Bucks are going to come in here and roll by double digits. There's going to be no upset there. Tom Brady is
probably,
upright.
But I'm just pointing out that if it were a Sunday game, I would say you're 100% right. But that Thursday game puts a little curve.
And this is where I disagree with you. And Rob, please hop in here. Because it's a short week, anytime it's a short week for me, advantage coaching staff. And we've got the coaching staff that just kind of surprised everyone winning a Super Bowl as compared to a wet behind the ears, still early in the season coaching staff. Nick Sirianni still learning on the job as he goes. I think that's a coaching staff mismatch, and that's why I think the Bucks will win that one by double digits.
What is it, October? So the weather's not going to be a factor. Gronk can ride in here on his in his flip-flops and shorts like he prefers. Brady, it's not. He's not going to worry about no frozen tundra at the links. So I mean, I see your point, Jody. I'm still taking the points right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's a long shot, but I'm saying I'm trying to give the people some hope because one of the things, Rob, I've said, and the front part of the schedule is the difficult part. And if you start week 1, and I mentioned this with Jody before you hopped on, you have Julio Jones, you have Calvin Ridley, you have Kyle Pitts now in Atlanta. Week 2 with San Francisco, you know how explosive they are with Kittle and Samuel. Now they're healthy. Brandon Ayuk, the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, on. And then the Chiefs come in week 4. How do you stop those teams when Zach McPherson might be your outside corner opposite Darius Slay?
Oh, that's a big mystery right now. And it's the matchups don't favor the Eagles at all defensively. And that's as much as I like what they've done offensively to bring in some weapons and to build around Jalen Hurts, and guys got to be healthy and play to their potential. On the defensive side, my biggest concern right now would be the secondary because you still got Rodney McLeod coming back from another knee injury. You got young guys stepping up, and Zach McPherson, the 4th-round pick, is he even penciled in as the starter opposite Darius Slay right now? I think they really got to dip into that free agency market there. Some of these guys who are still out there, whether it's Nelson or someone else, a veteran corner to come in here and kind of try and solidify things, because you point that out. There's a lot of matchups that are going to be very unfavorable for the Eagles from a passing game standpoint.
You mentioned Nelson. Gary Conley's name gets thrown around all the time. We know who the guys are who are still out there, and we bring them up on almost a daily basis on the show. You reference them in articles you write. They're not here. They're not anywhere else. They haven't signed, but they're not here. What is the whole – are we trying to get them for $200,000 instead of paying them $2.9 million? I'd rather pay them $2.7 million. It seems to be a glaring need for the Eagles, and these guys are still looking for a job. Why haven't they been able to get one of these veterans to jump and bite and be given a job as a starter? I don't know how many other teams are out there where you've got a free agent like the 2 guys I just mentioned that you go, oh, when you sign with us, we're pretty much guaranteeing you a starting spot at one of the corners. Why hasn't this happened yet?
It seems so simple and too easy, and you question why not. Is it a matter maybe of the calendar and you're waiting till June 1st and the Zach Ertz situation to play out and then have a little bit more flexibility with the salary cap and the money. Perhaps that's the case. You want to see what these young guys can do in rookie camp, although I don't know how much they can show you to convince you that they're the answer at that position. So Jody, the only reasonable, logical way I could look at it is if they're interested, and in Nelson's case, I know for sure they're at least interested. Perhaps it's just a matter of waiting on June 1st and then having a little bit more flexibility with the salary cap, because Zach Ertz isn't coming back.
No, he's not. And Rob, you bring up a good point with the June 1st aspect. I think you saw a report yesterday, and you know better than anybody else how these things work. And Nelson's, 14 teams are interested. It might have been 17.
Of course they are. You sure it wasn't all 32?
Exactly. So you know by that things aren't going the way they expected. And I look at Steven Nelson. He's a good player. He's not a great player, but nobody can give him a better opportunity. He walks in here tomorrow. He's a starting corner opposite Darius Slay. So ultimately, I think the Eagles can play this waiting game. And also, Howie Roseman brought up Ronald Darby in 2017. They made that trade in August. So there are still different avenues. One thing I think you'll agree with, and tell me if I'm wrong, there's going to be another corner on this team at some point.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if there isn't, guys. I really would be, because you're so thin. You're so young there. And Avonte Maddox last year did not step up clearly and take over and solidify that spot outside. Perhaps he moves inside. Now, a lot of people will tell you maybe Jim Schwartz's defense had something to do with Avonte's decline, with the lack of progression for some of these cornerbacks. And maybe that is the case. Maybe with a new defensive coordinator, the system can help some of these players step it up. But all of that said, I still believe they're going to bring somebody in. When Howie flat out says, hey, we could wait on this and maybe even make a trade, and not to compare this team to that 2017 team, although going into that 2017 season, I don't think anybody had him as a Super Bowl champion. Yeah. I had him at 9 wins. Yeah. I didn't have him going 13-3 and going on to win a Super Bowl. But then again, I don't have this team at 9 wins either. I still got this team in the 5-7 range. But you get the point. There are guys out there that are going to be available, that are still available, and it's just a matter of evaluating the talent that you have, get some flexibility, and go out there and make that move.
Can I make one point? John references. He does it about once a show. And he should, because it's a direct quote from the general manager of this football team. Turning back the clock to the Ronald Darby acquisition. Did I sleep through the Ronald Darby era here in Philadelphia? Was it something that we're writing home about, that it was one of the greatest acquisitions of all time for the Ronald Darby came in here and it was okay at best. For me, he was below average. That's just my evaluation of Ronald Darby's play. So if that's what we're using as a template for, we can reproduce what we did when we picked up Ronald Darby. You better do better than that, Howie. The Ronald Darby era here in Philadelphia was nothing special for me. Sorry for being negative. I'm taking Johnny's role here, but I'm just being honest. What did Ronald Darby do when he was here in Green?
Jody, how quickly we forget. Ronald Darby was the starting cornerback for a Super Bowl champion. They allowed 500, 2 yards, 505.
Yeah.
If not for Ronald Darby, it may have been 600. And it would have
No, but I think Rob is right. And to Howie's credit, the point is, no, we're not going to get a superstar, but we can get a competent option. And what he's trying to say is we want a Super Bowl with Ronald Darby. So by definition, you can find a competent option even later on in the process. So that's where I think he's going that route. Not that it's Deion Sanders, but I do want to reverse to what you said about Avonte Maddox, Rob. I do think people are writing him off. Now, perhaps you have a different coaching staff. Jonathan Gannon, who we don't know a lot about, but we look at Indianapolis, we can look at Minnesota, plays a little bit more zone, at least we project him to. His history is with cornerbacks. So maybe he can develop. That's a big part of this new coaching staff. I think player development has lacked in recent years. Who's to say Avonte Maddox can't develop?
I agree, and I think that's a big part of what the upside of this coaching staff is, this young coaching staff, because we've heard Howie and I believe even Jeffrey Lurie kind of allude to this without totally throwing Doug Peterson and that coaching staff under the bus. But I think there's a segment or a feeling that, hey, we drafted some of these guys that everybody's writing off as busts, and they just weren't coached up properly. And with the right coaching, they can develop. And Avonte's one of those guys who actually showed us even more than some of the play, like a J.J. Arcega-Whiteside or a Jalen Reed. Like Avonte showed us a couple years that he's got some talent. He can play. His rookie year, he was really good, right? And then for whatever reason, he had some injuries, took a step backward. I'm hopeful that this coaching staff can develop these guys. You hear, I spoke to even a couple veterans on the team, a Brandon Graham, who talked about how much the teaching and the coaching is different and seems to be something that can benefit the younger players. So when you see a veteran player and then you see young guys embracing these philosophies, the coaching, we make a lot about the youthful enthusiasm of this coaching staff, but I think it's their ability to communicate with the younger players and get them on the same page and build that chemistry, I think is going to be the big key to this team.
Rob, I'll play Johnny Mac's role for him again here. We haven't had you on since the draft. Will we, 5 years from now, 6 years from now, be lamenting the fact that the Eagles passed on Justin Fields? We both I specifically do, huge Devonta Smith fan, was calling for the Eagles to draft him, couldn't believe they'd even have the chance to draft him. So I know that's who they drafted, so it can't be all bad. It's going to be good because Smith's going to be a big-time player. But the Eagles did pass on the quarterback position, and they are going to give Jalen Hurts the shot this year. But I think Justin Fields has got a chance to be a really special player down the line. Are we going to lament the fact that the Eagles didn't make a quarterback adjustment in the 2021 offseason?
I don't necessarily feel that you're going to lament that they passed on Justin Fields, because I think Jalen Hurts really has a chance to develop, right, if he's developed properly, into a solid quarterback. I look back at this, though, and I was shocked. Jody, I was stunned that they moved up to take Devonta Smith, because when I was on here with you guys and on other shows I've done, I thought they're going to trade, but I thought more likely to trade back and end up with one of those players in the trenches and get an extra pick. And then I saw what the Bears gave up to move up to get Justin Fields. And I think the move that, although not popular because everybody's in love with Devonta Smith, and rightfully so, the kid's not only talented, but just talking to him a few times, John, he's really polished, he's very mature, and I think that's going to bode well for him. But had they stayed put and made that trade with the Bears and added a fourth first-round pick next year, you could have gone down to 20 and got a solid player at 20 and then had potentially 4 first-round picks next year, to where if Jalen Hurts isn't the guy, forget about drafting Justin Fields. Those 4 first-round picks could have been used for Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, or Deshaun Watson. So to me, that was the one that I go, I'm not going to kill a pick where you take Devonta Smith because he's the people's choice. And I think that played into it, guys. Don't think that it hasn't been lost on Howie Roseman and the organization how popular of a pick Devonta Smith is. And I think that may have played just a slight role in it, but forget about that. I would have traded back and gotten and tried to acquire that fourth first-round pick.
Beautiful, Rob. You just foreshadowed my exact Billy Boys column today that's going to run this morning. If you go back to 20.
Y'all must read.
Yeah. If you go back to 20 and you're getting an extra first-round pick on top of it, and think about who was on the board. You had wide receivers. You had the Batemans of the world, the Tonys of the world, who I'm not in love with.
Right.
Caleb Farley was on the board.
Yeah.
Who knows if he was red flagged by the Eagles or not? Then you had the edge rushers, the Kwity Pays of the world. There were a lot of players that could fit need. Plus, you're getting that extra first-round pick. And, If Carson Wentz holds his water in Indianapolis, I think we all think he's going to do that. That's 4 first-round picks next year to go get whomever you want. For a general manager that is known for value, that was the value. There it was staring you right in the face. Or just take the quarterback, Justin Fields. Take the quarterback.
Yeah, let me
quarterback factory, guys.
Hold on. Both of you guys are out in left field.
Oh,
for whomever. Let's go through the options of whomever. Chances of Aaron Rodgers being a Philadelphia Eagle. Percentages. Give me a percentage, boys.
5%.
I'll go less than that.
Yeah, less than that. Okay. Russell Wilson. Give me the percentage chance he's going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. With 4 first-round picks to dangle out there to get Russell Wilson. Give me the percentage chance Russell Wilson's an Eagle.
I'll let Rob go.
I'll go higher than Aaron. I'll go 15% on Russell Wilson.
I'll go way above that. Russell wants out of Seattle. I'd go 40%. Yeah.
Okay.
40?
Yeah.
Did you say 40, McMullen? 40?
Russell Wilson wants out of Seattle. Unless they repair that relationship over the year, by this time next year, I'll probably be up over 50 if they want to go in that direction.
Whoa.
They would have already made the decision. They love Russ. Rob will tell you. He is their white whale. He is their white whale.
I might be able to make some money off this deal. I think that's got next to no shot at happening. Deshaun Watson, I think he's got a better chance of being out of the league than actually being here in Philadelphia. You've got to at least factor that in. Here's what those 4 first-round draft picks are going to turn into if they had gone that way, gone that direction. Sam Howell, Spencer Rattler. That's what you're going to end up with. Another quarterback who's never played a down in the National Football League, at least my evaluative opinion, nowhere near the class of this year's quarterback draft. And I don't think any of next year's quarterbacks are going to be as good a player as Justin Fields is. So if that was the move to move back, I think you're moving back for another roll of the dice at best.
Well, then take the quarterback. That was the second part of it.
That part I agree with you. But both of you were singing the tune of, let's trade back to get that 4th pick to get whomever. I'm telling you, whomever is Sam Howell.
Howie's Mr. Let's make a deal. He's never afraid to make a blockbuster. He's in the mix. He kicks the tires on any player out there who's available. If he was armed with 4 first-round picks and Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, and Russell Wilson, and you got a great point about Watson. I don't know what his situation is going to look like, but I got to think at some point he's going to be back in the NFL. If they're there available and Howie's armed with 4 first-round picks, I think the only thing that would be standing in his way is Jalen Hurts' incredible development as a sophomore in the NFL, and that has yet to be determined.
Well, Rob, all right.
Let me just make one more point now. Shut up, I promise. Here's what I remember. Jaleel Okafor, Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons, being able to wheel and deal and be in position to get great guys coming out of the draft doesn't really guarantee you anything.
No,
when you get adults running the room like Daryl Morey, things seem to come together. But when you just willy-nilly going back, let's go back to the draft. Let's go back. High draft picks. It doesn't guarantee anything.
How many championships has Howie won? How many championships has Daryl Morey won? Just throwing it out.
Daryl's only been here 1 year. How many years has Howie been here?
He didn't win in Houston.
Yeah, he's been
teams.
No titles. He's been in the NBA for a long time, Daryl Morey. Yeah. But
the only thing that matters in Philadelphia is Philadelphia. All those other years are relevant.
To Rob's point, I want to take the 10,000-foot view at the quarterback position as a whole, because I do think, Rob, all this team talks about is quarterback, how important it is, how important the backup quarterback role is. And all of a sudden, they have a quarterback sitting there and they go in a different direction. How much did the divorce with Carson Wentz make this team a little bit more cautious? Or did it not? Because I see caution.
I don't think so, John. I don't think they passed on Justin Fields because of how things played out with Carson and Jalen. I think they passed on Justin Fields because they feel that Devontae Smith is that much of a upgrade at that playmaker position. And they feel in Jalen Hurts what they've seen. And although they won't tell you this, although they won't commit to him publicly, although everything they say is competition, 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 I feel that they really have invested in Jalen Hurts. They know they invested in Jalen Hurts, and they think that Nick Sirianni and his coaching staff can develop him to a point where he's going to be more than just a competent NFL quarterback, because competent NFL quarterback isn't good enough. You need to be a star quality, and he's got all that. We've talked about Jalen. He's got all those intangibles. He checks all the box for intangibles. It's just
no question.
It's just get your accuracy, your footwork, your mechanics, and let's go. And I think they feel that they can develop him.
Then let me ask you this. If they showed their devotion, as short-term as it may be, to Jalen Hurts, they have all these potential picks, 3 potential now, could have been 4 if they had gone the other direction, as you guys noted. What does Jalen have to do for them not to use all those assets to get another quarterback next year? In your evaluation, Rob, what does he have to shoot? What does he have to prove? Is it going to be determined by one-loss record? Is it going to be determined by quarterback ranking? How will the Eagles know, yeah, we're good, we made the right call by not drafting Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts is our guy going forward, or, yeah, okay, now we got these extra assets, we're going to have to use them, we're going to have to go in another direction? How are they going to make that call?
Jody, that's a terrific question, and I don't think it could be measured by numbers, because you can't pin it on wins and losses, because look at Deshaun Watson. He won 4 games last year. He won 4 games last year, and if he wasn't going through what he was going through, he'd be worth 5 first-round picks, because he had a tremendous season. He's that good of a quarterback. So I don't think you can judge Jalen this season based on his one-loss record. And I don't know that quarterback rating, ranking, 15 touchdowns, 14 interceptions is going to be the be-all, end-all determining factor for him. I think it's feel. I think how he commands the huddle, how he performs, what plays he leaves out on the field, what plays he's able to make, what plays do they feel confident in him running, how he takes control of the team on and off the field. So I think these are things that are going to be measured not just in hard line wins and losses and stats, but in all of the other areas that they can see, and they can probably, and they certainly for sure will know and see better than we can. So from the outside, we may be looking at, well, he's 2-15, or he's 5-12, and he's got 18 touchdowns and 13 whatever it may be. They'll have a better feel. But yet, having said all that, I don't know that this one season is enough. When you're in a rebuilding year with a team coming off 4 wins and a lot of young players and a new coaching staff, I don't think it's fair to Jalen Hurts to put him out there for a 17-game trial run and say, all right, whether or not you're QB1 in 2022 is based on what you do as a sophomore in a rebuilding season. I think that could be a little bit premature to make that evaluation, but they'll certainly know better in December than they do in September, and they'll know more in January than they do in November.
Yeah, last one from me, Rob. And then also I want to give you a chance to talk about your Faith on the Field show, which you're syndicating in different cities around the country. But so talk about that. But also, I thought what you brought up is been sort of concerning to me, in the fact that I don't know what Jalen Hurts can do to prove to this team he's the long-term answer this year. We started this conversation talking about the schedule. You have him at 5 or 7 wins. Guess what? That's not going to capture the imagination of anyone. That might not be fair, as you point out. Is there a path for Jalen Hurts, other than success, other than playoffs, where he can earn the trust of this team?
I think how he handles adversity, guys. I think that that's sometimes an overlooked intangible, an overlooked factor. But you're going to have ups and downs in the NFL. You're going to have weeks where he goes out there and he throws a pick that's going to cost them the game, or he's going to misread a play and he's going to end up sacked, fumble, and it's a big determining factor in the outcome of a football game. How does he handle that? How does he bounce back from that? How do his teammates rally around him? How does he get his teammates to be supportive and have just trust in him and be positive about him going forward? How does he handle the media pressure? How does he handle the city? I think all of those things are going to be kind of weighed into it. And I think knowing Jalen just a little bit, right? Just seeing him a little bit, I think he can handle all of that stuff. So it's going to come down to how he develops, how they view him, how they see him. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard to really make an accurate assessment. And you could be in a situation where we're sitting here at this time next year, and Jalen was, so-so season on the field, and they weren't sure, and they went and used those picks, like Jody's suggesting, to get a Sam Howell or to get somebody else. And then maybe Jalen goes on and has success elsewhere. So I don't think that Jalen Hurts' NFL future is going to be determined by what he does in 2021 for him. But his Eagles' future may very well be determined by what he does in 2021.
That's a good point. Rob, we haven't had you on since the draft, and we've certainly referenced and talked about Devonta Smith and the machinations to move up and get him and what he can do for this team. But the Eagles continue to draft thereafter, and we haven't gotten a chance here on the show to get your opinion on the overall Philly draft. And take Devonta Smith for what he's worth, put him aside. The rest of the draft, Howie Roseman's selections, and the move the Eagles made. Good, bad, indifferent. What kind of grade did you give him?
It's really hard, this, guys, to judge a draft based on not even seeing the guys out there. I could go individually and look quickly at Landon Dickerson and say, if, with that qualifier, if he's healthy, I love the pick. I mean, my man can go out there and do cartwheels at 333 pounds. I just learned what cartwheels are, by the way. So the fact that he can do that, tremendous athlete, man. I really like Landon Dickerson and his potential. Kenny Gainwell, for me, could be a guy who's a steal of day 3. I love this kid's his confidence, man. I'm a rare breed. Doesn't look at anybody else. There's no one like me. I don't copy anybody's game. I really like what he could do. I think Jacoby Stevens, a 6th-round pick, has got an opportunity to be an impactful defensive player for this team. And then Milton Williams, the 3rd-round pick, there's a lot of versatility there. We all know about how the fist bump shook out in the 3rd round, and they ended up with Milton Williams. Somebody even asked him about that yesterday. John, I forget who it was.
Yeah.
Hey, were you aware, like, basically that Tom Donahoe didn't want you, and he handled that well. But if you have a stud in Devonta Smith, a potential anchor on your offensive line in Landon Dickerson, if healthy, and a day 3 contributor in Kenny Gainwell and Jacoby Stevens, you did pretty good. We'll see if that plays out.
Oh, and I forgot that Rob obviously listened to his AP football podcast as well. I got to get your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers. What is going to happen, Aaron Rodgers? To me, I see Denver or Green Bay. I don't see another path. Yeah,
you're at the point now, like San Francisco, how could they be an option? They just went out and traded to move up for Trey Lance. You look at, could they really flip him to Seattle for Russell Wilson, a blockbuster of all blockbusters? No, I don't think that's going to happen. It very well may come down to Aaron Rodgers forcing their hand by sitting out a year, by retiring, by doing something like that. I refuse to play there. I'm not coming back. I don't think any situation is not mendable. I always think that you can, when you have grown men, I don't care what's happened in the past, whatever it can be, I think you can sit down and you can mend things. So obviously that's going to be the Packers' first route, and it should be. It's Aaron Rodgers, so you better do whatever you can to make the guy happy. But Denver would, if he's going to be moved, Denver has to be the leading candidate.
Tend to agree. I don't think he's going anywhere else. Maybe I'm sitting in John's chair. I'm Mr. Negativity. I think he's going to sit out. I really do. I think that he's going to start the season on the sidelines. Now, will it play the whole year? That I'm not ready to commit to. But he's not showing up in camp. I don't think there's a trade to be made. I think he's going to actually start the season watching Jeopardy reruns at home. But that's just me. Call me Mr. Negative today.
It's going to get ugly. Definitely.
I certainly see that too. Mr. Maaddi, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming on. You know we're going to have you back plenty over the course of the upcoming year. Thanks for hopping on with us today, big guy.
Always fun with you guys. Great job you both do. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
That
Rob.
is Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press here with us on Birds 365. All right, Mac and Mac guys coming back. We'll continue to break down the schedule and the way this Eagle roster plays into it. What you see, tough early, easy late, how it plays. Come right back. John McMullen, Jody McDonald here on Birds 365.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.